Alrighty, welcome back to another week on Life at the Outpost, coming to you on the morning of, I think it might be the last one, but it's the last one against the Broncos. 4X Derby, second 4X Derby against the Broncos for the year. We did take the trophy in the first game down in Brisbane there, so we are playing to retain it today. Going to be a big game. Broncos they've actually found some bit of form there. They're playing to keep their season alive. They need every single win going toward the finals they can to stay alive here. And we are, again, a little bit of shoddy form, up and down a bit. Not without reasoning, obviously, but yeah.
Injury crisis again.
Yeah. News yesterday, Tommy Dearden out for a further 3 to 4 weeks, I think it is, with the opposite calf or something. It's a lower leg injury anyway.
Perineal.
Yeah, which it sounds like...
Down the back.
Yeah, sounds like maybe... Whether maybe this is why he got kept out those extra couple weeks, possibly, and they just didn't release it, who knows. But maybe, what I would think maybe generally would be in his recovery, and while he's had the injury in the other foot or ankle, just overcompensation, exactly right. During rehab or just everyday life, and maybe that's sort of fatigued that one, and led to it getting injured. It sounds like it happened either in that Dolphins game last weekend or post it, or it aggravated anyway to the point it's at now. So we revert back to the the gatekeepers, or the holders of the keys. Clifford and Purdue in the halves there after last week, which was Dearden and Purdue in the halves, and didn't go as well as everyone would hoped for the third attempt at it, I think it was. But
yeah, God, it's painful.
Yeah,
it's tough sometimes when you what's that age-old saying? Definition of insanity.
Yeah. And it sort of felt like that. Everyone was a bit shocked and I think a bit annoyed initially. It did sort of feel like maybe Todd was just reverting back to what he was doing. But when I think about it a bit more critically, and look, hey, he may very well have just been doing it for the sake of doing it, but it felt a bit to me more like after that average week on the boot from Clifford, that average game, maybe he was just giving him a bit of a break, a bit of a rest.
He seemed stressed.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like in that game, he didn't seem injured by any means. Maybe there is, who knows? Obviously kept pretty under wraps, but he seemed relatively stressed. I think after he missed that third or fourth kick, you could really see it. He was pretty dejected.
Yeah.
It was relinquished to Scott as a result.
Yeah. Who came in clutch, mind you.
Came in very clutch. Yeah. Very clutch.
Yeah. But also worth mentioning too, not just Clifford. Fogarty had a horrible night. I think they both kicked one out of all their
That's the thing for me, is that no one could kick in that game. It was like everyone who normally can kick really well could not kick. So maybe it was wind. I didn't really take that much note, to be honest. I can't remember, but I felt bad for Clifford.
Yeah,
which is why I sort of understand if we go back to like you said, the critical thinking. I don't necessarily feel bad about sitting him for the game. But if that is not the case, and it's more a case of I still genuinely wholeheartedly believe Purdue is our 6, then I think that's fucking trolling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're yet to see. Next year is going to be the big tell, but you would think he wants him to be the fullback, or that's where we're going with it. So,
I mean, he said that it's Scott or Jacob.
Or Purdue, when they were talking about keeping whoever. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It just, to me, I think to I guess play the devil's advocate, for lack of a better term, I feel like maybe he's just giving him a bit of a break, because this week he very clearly he put the winning combination back, being Dearden and Clifford. But obviously,
is that more of a winning combination, or is it just necessity though?
Yeah, I both really.
Both really.
Yeah, exactly right. We saw last week, touched on this before, but back to that Purdue Dearden combination, just didn't really clinch things. Dearden came out strong, mind you, and I didn't get to watch all this. I only got to see a little bit of the end of it through highlights and whatnot. But it seemed as though Dearden started really strong last week. Came out of the gates running, got that try.
His first 30 minutes was like immaculate. It was like, oh shit, here it is.
He's back.
Yep. In a big way.
Yep. Which
then brings me to maybe that's where he picked up the injury.
Possibly,
before half time, because he he really dropped off.
Yep.
He really dropped off, and he couldn't really do much.
Yeah.
So maybe that is the case where he's re-injured it. I just still don't agree with Purdue at 6. And I think it's probably not a person in the world who does, but yeah.
Yeah, and look, I think maybe today, like the emergency sort of swap back is when, it makes sense. We saw Sutton come in and do a job early in the season as well, but then he did also peter off a little bit, and this is a game where we probably can't afford that. You don't want to ruin his confidence. I would like to maybe see him or even Ethan King take the bench spot that...
I think I would like to see King.
Yeah, that Laybutt's going to leave, because Laybutt obviously moves into Purdue's centre spot, but as an emergency, mind you, so be good to see them there, but just naming it, I think it's probably the way to go as it is at the moment, having Clifford and Purdue, but yeah, as a permanent 6, I don't know. We saw last week, man, 40, it was insane. Those last couple tries, I think it was 3 or 4 tries in the last, 15 minutes to the Dolphins, to the Phins, so yeah. 36-16 it was in the end. Sorry, mind you, I was looking at that first game. Then the Gilbert try, it sort of started to fall apart. Then when Plath went over, it was obviously well and truly done. And then to watch Lemuelu just stroll over with a minute to go. Yeah.
But I mean, that's where they just sort of threw their hands up.
Yeah.
That's the way it normally
Telling
goes. And I'm trying not to be too critical of that, because that's what all teams do now. When it's out of reach, you just get the game out and...
No more injuries anyway, or don't risk anything else. But yeah. Unfortunate. Dolphins got it over us twice, and they did. It was a good bounce back from the Phins after such a horrendous loss the week prior, so they were always going to come out strong. It wasn't going to be a walk by any means, but yeah, whether we maybe just took them a little too lightly or something, I don't know.
We also knew that they were going to go very, very hard at that right-hand side.
Which they did.
Osaka had a field day, really.
He did.
Which is that was probably the most odd part to me, is that we didn't really, and I mean this also, seriously, I'm gonna keep saying it, and I'm sorry, but it does come back to Purdue at 6 again. They just found so much success down that right hand side, and they just butchered us. They really tested Purdue's defense.
Yep.
It wasn't great.
Yeah.
And look, does Clifford add much more? I don't know, but
he can kick.
History shows
he gets us out of trouble with stats. You're right.
That's exactly right. And that was definitely like a big part of why we struggled, is because we just couldn't put any meters on him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, it was good to see. Herbie got shut down relatively well, I thought. He didn't run as much of a muck as he normally does.
And that's the thing. I think that left-hand side was actually very well kept.
Yep.
At least until the end of the game, when they stopped giving a fuck. But I think the left-hand side, which is where the Dolphins really are king, was actually very well kept.
Yeah, managed.
And obviously that's due to Dearden being back and Dearden being just a defensive workhorse. But and don't get me wrong, and he was legitimately everywhere. Like he was trying his heart out there. So obviously with injury too. But that right hand side just really carved us up.
Which we sort of were hoping we can tie that in and tighten it up tonight a little bit. Have had a few defensive deficiencies there with Laybutt as well, but hopefully they can sort that out. We might look at a bit of a review of tonight's game on our yearly On the Field, which we'll cross over to now. Alrighty, welcome back to On the Field for another year. It's the annual Broncos Cowboys Derby, 4X Derby, the rematch. Now, we are the victors of the first one down there in Brisbane. Brisbane are coming up here to try and take that 4X trophy back tonight, but we're hoping the boys are able to retain it. We'll go through the team list. There's been a couple of changes for us since Tuesday, since the teams were named.
Unfortunately?
Yeah, unfortunately. Starting at the back though, fullback, as always, Scott Drinkwater up against Reece Walsh. Both probably the last few weeks finding form, and form that's been really needed. Walsh specifically, Broncos obviously playing to keep their season alive here. It's probably do or die for them, obviously. We're probably just a little bit ahead. We've got a little bit of grace having one bye left and sitting in 8th on the ladder, but we definitely want to be locking up these wins to be staying in the 8 comfortably.
I think that's probably the important thing too. I mean, while we're not really in any danger, it can get dangerous pretty quickly in 3 or 4 games.
One loss, which obviously we copped last week, turns into 2, turns into 3, and then you're in the position there and playing to keep your season alive.
Yeah, that's right.
So Drinkwater up against Walsh there. I think I do like Drinkwater in this matchup, as well as Walsh has been very good, as we just said, but I do like Drinkwater in these scenarios. He is one of our best creative players, and we did see him coming clutch there against Manly, kicking that field goal. So I do think we may see something like that happen again here. On the wings, Braden Burns, who will be going up against Dean Mariner. Burns is reliable, obviously. You know, you can count on him almost for 1 try a game at this point, sort of thing here. Only thing I don't like is maybe the speed matchup. Burns, obviously a little bit older, and he does take a lot of tough carries. He makes a lot of yardage, bringing kicks back and stuff, kick returns. May tend to gas out a little bit quicker. So we want to try and manage that a little bit, I think. Whereas Mariner, you know, you've got Mariner and Shibasaki, a little bit younger and probably a little bit more spry on that edge. If they can sort of get Burns jamming in or something like that, that's when we might start seeing Mariner run a bit of a muck there.
Yeah, I feel like the big plus there as well is that Gemmett's not really having the best time with defensive efforts at the moment. That could come in pretty handy for us, especially for someone like Burns.
We are sort of relying on that to be the case. Yeah, that's exactly right. As well as on the inside, that would have us. Just getting our cheese and bacon garlic bread here because we are down at the Ludus Club as always. Would have us with Laybuck now moving into the centre position, as Purdue will move back to 6 this week. We'll touch on that in a minute though, as to why. Which, talking about defensive lapses, we have seen that prior from Zachy and Burns, maybe just a little bit of lost faith or something, or maybe from being a bit tired. But at least we're getting someone with some runs in that position, go back in there, in Laybuck, which I'm rather happy with. It's best worst case scenario, probably.
The tough part for Zach is that he's going to be up against Stags.
Yeah.
Katoni's probably one of the saving graces of the Broncos really this season, I guess. He's probably been one of the more consistent.
Yeah.
And also probably one of the more consistently healthy as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Moving on the other centre position, we've got Chester there, who had a big game up against Herbie, taking Herbie on last week against the Dolphins. Wouldn't say come up trumps at all. It was pretty evenly matched. Obviously, we didn't come away with the win in that one, but he did have quite a good game, I think, to his standard.
I think this is going to be our killing point
break
here.
Yeah,
this is where we
definitely make or break, I think. So hopefully Chester, talking about speed and that, Chester with that strike, we can see him hit a bit of a gap here. And
this is going to heavily rely on Purdue.
100%, yeah. We've seen, and we saw it last week, we see it every week. You give Chester a couple metres or just enough gap. Once he winds up, it takes him a bit. Yeah, it takes him a bit to wind up, but once he winds up, it just gets that enough space, no one will catch him. Hoping he can hammer there. Moving on to Muzz on the other wing there. Muzz up against Karapani. I like this matchup though. Again, speed. We'd probably lose out on speed there, but Muzz probably with a little bit of height over Karapani, I think.
Height and experience.
And finishing ability for sure. Another tried and true there for us.
Just safe.
Yeah, 100%. Moving into the halves. Now, obviously, Clifford's going to be running out in the 6, but we'll be playing 7 in this one after Tommy has dropped out a day or two ago now with that new injury, unfortunately. So we now revert back to the Clifford-Purdue half combination, which, mind you, hasn't been shocking, but definitely far from our strongest being Dearden and Clifford.
I think we're looking at a 1 in 6 win rate.
Yeah. Clifford does play the 6 traditionally with Tommy there, but has that kicking ability. Which we lose. We tend to lose when it's a Tommy and Purdue combo. We don't really have that ability to kick out of danger and recover that field position. So at least we've got a bit of that in this one. and Purdue's running game. His running game's amazing, so we will retain that there. Up against Ezra and Adam Reynolds. Talking about running game and whatnot, creativity. Ezra's got that. He has been probably far from his best this season, in my opinion.
But still probably their best combination they've got right now.
Exactly. And a game like Walsh and a couple others, finding form when it's needed. So they're trying to keep their season alive. He's managing to do that. So that's the dangerous
very
part.
interesting. An interesting team though. Once we see Duffy get an off-season under his belt, I think.
Yes, 100%. Yep. And then Reynolds, obviously the old dog, the old general. We've seen him do a job before. We've also seen him break down before. So not wishing injury on anyone, but you sort of hope maybe he just gets gassed a bit. And we've seen him falter in his kicks. He is another one who has a good kicking game, but we've seen him get a bit on tilt if we can keep pressure on. And his kicks go a bit wayward there, so hoping we can keep
We don't really normally see him get like angry tilt though. It's more of a stress tilt.
Yeah. Or one error turns into 2 errors, turns into 3 errors, sort of thing. So
feeling the pressure of needing to succeed.
Yeah. Moving on to the forwards, number 8, Thomas McKaylee. We're getting big McKaylee back, which I love.
This is a huge boom.
Yeah, huge for us. The McKaylee-Tamalolo combination is OG, almost OG, I would say.
Proving to be a serious threat.
Yeah,
and
100%.
hard to handle.
The Bash Bros, really. McKaylee getting a bit more game time this year, really, but getting a bit more of a motor, which is what he needs. Putting on a bit of size too, so becoming far more of a threat.
We're seeing like 40 to 50 minutes of a game now where it's just very hard to handle us in the middle pack.
Yeah, exactly. Super dangerous. With his offload too, that's what when he first came to us, he was real dangerous when he played on the edge, or he had a little bit of a run through the middle. The offloads were insane. He hasn't completely lost that, but it's just another sort of feather in his cap,
Absolutely.
Keeps defenses guessing.
I think his tackling ferocity has really gone up a gear too.
Yeah, we've seen a number of times this year he's put a massive hit on
Penrith game
and rattled a few people.
Put a statement up,
So we'd like to see it up against the Haas or even Preston Ricky here, who's the Broncos number 8. He has had a few games this year through injury. Not a great deal of experience in the side compared to some of the other forwards, but hasn't been that bad, mind you, from what I've seen of Ricky this year.
Does tend to put his head down when things go wrong, but that's about it.
Yeah.
That's a young footballer thing, I think.
Which, again, we are hoping for that. Reid Marnie starting hooker for us up against Corey Pakes. We've seen both teams do this a number of times throughout the year and last season as well with the Broncos. Pakes starting and Hunt.
Both of these hookers, rocks and diamonds too. So.
Yeah, Hunt coming on later. I do like Marnie in this matchup over Pakes, although Marnie is known to have an error or a brain snap in him. I do like this matchup better. The old dog Tamalolo, the OG, coming up against Haas, the young buck, or not so much the young buck now, but the new terror. Look, Haas probably wins based on how long of a game he can play, how long of a match he can play. But if we utilise Tamalolo correctly, if we can utilise Tamalolo correctly, I think going to be dangerous. We've seen a resurgence of form from Tamalolo this year, like no other, because he's finally being utilised correctly. So. Moving on to the edges though, we've got Harlem Lukey up against Jordan Ricky. Lukey being a little bit quiet the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think.
Very brain snappy last week.
Yeah, in comparison to the start of the season, I should say, being a little bit quiet.
We're definitely looking for a return to form this week, I think.
Yeah. Not bad by any means, just not as dangerous as we have seen prior. Ricky, we know how reliable Ricky is for the Broncos. Generally, you can rely on him to score a try when defences are retreating or they're a bit tired, which is probably our one deficiency at times, I think. So hopefully the boys can keep him well marked and wrapped up tonight. Moving on to Nanai, who has come back in, I think, a rare bit of form from injury. He hasn't sort of come back slow and worked his way back in. He's come back pretty solid, I think. I think he's netted a try almost every game since he's been back this season so far. We've had a few buys in between, but yeah. Yep.
All or nothing, which
up
is
against
kind of his play style anyway, really.
Exactly right. Up against Xavier Willison, who has done a job for the Broncos all year. Probably been one of their best forwards, if not their best forward, in the absence of Payne Haas, which is concerning. But I find he peters off a little bit when he plays in the edge position. He doesn't get as much ball. And
I think that's because they want him to be a forward. They're going to keep training him as a forward, and that's all. They're just sort of waiting.
Exactly right. Once Haas goes, he'll be the new man.
He'll be the new 8.
Yeah. So, do worry about that matchup a little bit, but generally when he's playing the edge, he doesn't sort of see as much ball or doesn't get his hand on it as much. So, moving on to the lock position, Ruben Cotter up against Pat Carrigan, both tried and true, pretty safe positions for both teams there. Cotter, an absolute workhorse, the same as Carrigan, both coming back off an Origin loss. I think they are going to want to prove something for both teams here tonight.
Yeah, this is probably the one where you say that this is a like for like. You can't really.
Probably the most like for like outside.
I'd probably say Carrigan's a bit more defensive.
Ball playing abilities, maybe.
But Cotter's probably a bit more aggressive, but that's about it, really.
Yeah, maybe a little bit higher. Yeah, just there. Thanks, man.
Mate.
Cheers. And there's another one of our meals, so we better wrap this one up soon. With the interchange, Sonny Luke, Ben Hunt, Griffin Neen, Ben Tolte, Matthew Lodge, Var Senu, Cohen Hess, Grant Anderson, Ethan King, Billy Walters, and Sam McIntyre and Luke Gale. Reserves currently as they sit is Liam Sutton and Hayes Perham for both teams. Liam Sutton may, if I'm being honest, I think possibly either Ethan King or McIntyre drop out and Liam Sutton may come in as a contingency for Purdue.
This wouldn't shock me at all either.
But I hope Ethan King stays on the bench if it's required. I would like to see a bit of game time from him.
Definitely.
Yeah, so...
He's one of our future stars, and he needs to start clocking games. I don't know if this is the game to do it, but...
Yeah. Out of necessity, possibly. Billy Walters is probably the big one on that bench that I think is going to be a big inclusion for him if he gets game time. They've missed him. They missed him since last year. They got the premiership without him, but he was instrumental.
Part of the reason they've been struggling, really.
Yeah, he was instrumental in getting them to the position to win that premiership or get through that.
They need him back bad.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest saving graces for them coming into this finals run where they do need to win every game. Look, Dearden sustaining that injury has thrown things up in the air, so we're not fielding the strongest team possible, but I'm confident. I'm confident we can get a job done. We've seen it before. If our big men can stand up and just weather the storm of their forwards, and then, their outside backs, Walsh, when he starts running the ball and we do start, taking a bit of a beating from their forwards, then I think we can tilt them, and Broncos don't like that.
The one thing we need to probably do more than anything is just get at them early. If we set the tone early, it's no different to the Panthers. This is a team that struggles when their chips are down. And
things aren't going their way, exactly.
They get stressed. They do a lot of, in my opinion, selfish things when they're down. I think this is definitely a Cowboys. It's a high chance Cowboys can come away with this one.
And I'm going to put 10 plus for the win margin on this. I think it may come down to possibly kicking. May go a bit astray here.
I think it's a Cows for 8 for me.
Yeah, we're going to see some tries on the edges through both teams, I think, tonight. Look, I'll say Cowboys win, and I'm going to put McKaylee in to get his first try. I'm just feeling something about this tonight. I know I've said it a few times.
It does feel a little brewy, doesn't it?
Yeah, like the Panthers when I said there's just something in the air. There's a bit of omenry around, or I think we might see McKaylee finally break the drought and get his first NRL try.
But I love to see that.
Yep. All right, well, with that, we might start enjoying the atmosphere here at the Cowboys Leagues Club before the Derby kicks off. We'll throw back to Life at the Outpost. And, probably to summarise all of that anyway, obviously Broncos pretty well nearly fielding, nearing a full team. Walsh starting to really fire like he did last year when they needed him to keep their season alive. Very similar sort of scenario. Absolutely taking control and running amok there. If we can shut him down, I think we're in good stead. And probably just manage Reynolds a bit. We should be all right. The one that worries me tonight is going to be Haas. As always, Haas is always.
I think it's always a legitimate fear when you play against the Broncos. Haas just gives so much room to all his outside men.
Yep.
He gives so much room.
Yep.
Obviously, Reese gets more
Plenty of
dangerous
space
around the
and
ruck.
time. Yep.
The big one is when they go right with Stags.
Yep.
Haas giving a quick play of the ball off a big run.
Yep.
Keep us backpedaling. That's where people like Stags excel. Stags and Ricky.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Danger men. All three.
That's going to be the big test, and unfortunately, that is our weakest side.
Yep.
So if we're going to leak points, I'm expecting it there. But we got to really muscle up in defense on that side, big time.
Yep. And hopefully they're up for it. We have seen the boys do it. We weren't meant to win the one down in Brisbane, so hopefully we can turn it around tonight. It's a packed, sold out game. It's going to be a packed stadium. A lot of Broncos supporters as well.
An insane amount of Broncos supporters.
Hopefully we can see many more Cowboys supporters throughout the city and at the stadium. But with that, for this week, that's life at the Outpost. Thanks for listening and tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
Cheers.